One more powder now, one more powder tonight.
Okay, so we're back to the old barn, which is coming along quite nicely, I think. There's a couple of things that I just would like to, well, fix really before we move on. Now that the paint's properly dry, I can see that some parts have dried slightly darker than I would have wished, particularly the front of this barn here, the front of the barn there. I did put quite a lot of orange in it, if you remember, but it's really dried down much darker than I want. So I'm going to go back into there and put some orange in. I'm going to attend to some of the grey that's on the roof. It's just a bit stark, it needs a bit of detail in it, and these slats actually go right the way along under the roof. The way I've painted them, it looks like they're just in mid-air really, so they need to be joined, grey bits need to be joined to the roof. So let's get started with that. First thing I'm going to do is mix up an orange, which as you know is red and yellow, and I'm using vermilion, which looks to me like I haven't actually ever used this one before. It looks like a new one. I can't get into it. Can you get into that for me, please? And some yellow. This is just Liquitex Professional. Thank you. So I don't need masses of this, just a little bit. Just need to bring some highlights to the front of that barn, otherwise we're gonna lose it. A little bit of red, see if that mixes up nicely into sort of orange that I'd like. I'm just going to take a 1/4 inch angle shader, which will be no surprise to you because that's what I use all the time. I'll be alright with that because there's not very much of it. And I'm not quite sure how much I need to. I'm going to get quite a vibrant orange with this because I've used cad yellow and I've used vermilion, both very bright colours. But I think that's what what this barn needs really. Don't forget acrylics dry darker. So, and it's going on a dark base now, so I'm going to go with this. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to be brave. So it really is pretty much all the way from the top going down. And it's coming down in lines because it's corrugated. So if we can manage to do lines, that's great. If not, don't worry about it. It's an old barn. Let's dot an orangey bit down here. I'm hoping that by now we are reaping the rewards of having a new microphone and a new lead. And I keep mentioning the fact that we've got a new lead, like it's something to get excited about, which it's not really. It's just that it was expensive. So I feel I ought to mention the fact that we have that too. And hopefully, I mean, I spend a great deal of my time with my head down, talking to my chest really. So I appreciate that the sound's probably not the best, but hopefully the new microphone, etc., will help. I rather suspect we're going to have to come back and give this a second coat because I'm sure by now you appreciate that both yellow and red are very transparent colours. So we'll give it this coat now. But I do suspect, I really do, that we are going to have to come back and give it a second coat, which is okay. I mean, if it would stay even like that, it would be fine, but I think it's going to dry down. Not the end of the world, is it? We're kind of used to that now, aren't we? Okay, so I think that's looking brighter and better. I'm just going to give it a little bit on the top of here. There. Now I'm just going to spray this paint that's on my palette quite a lot, with quite a lot of water, to try and keep it damp for when this is dried, so I can go back and hopefully use it again. Now the next bit that I said was the roof, but actually I'm going to try and do a little bit to the side here. Just give my brush a wash out. And clean it out on a cloth. So this side here, to me, looks like it's burnt sienna with a little bit, I would say, of white in it, not the titanium buff that we normally use. It doesn't look like it's got that warmth to it. So we'll put a bit of that out. Hopefully we'll be on the right track. A little bit of white in through it, mix that up. Ooh, this has had a hard life, it's getting empty. A little bit, and we'll just see where that takes us to. I'll just see if I've got a palette knife. There we are. Just mix this up with a palette knife. A little bit of white in there. Try and get a good colour for us. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good colour for us. Just a tad more white. Really going to try and get some content in this hour, so we really feel like we're making progress. So I'm going to try and crack on. So let's just pick that up with a little bit of the and mix it on your brush. Don't mix it on the palette. Pick a bit of the stuff up that we've mixed, then a bit of the stuff out the tube. So you should have a bit of a mixture on your brush, and then this is the bit that's under the shadow. So hopefully you've transferred the lines for the side of the barn, so you know where the shadow is. And actually that just goes straight along. There's some other type of thing up here, but it's not this. So that goes along to that post that we painted in on the front corner. And this is some sort of post down here as well, but it does carry on beyond that. So I'm just trying to get this in. It goes right down into the grass. Grass actually comes up over this edge, so you needn't be too fussy about your bottom edge. But it's not a difficult one to get straight, so I think you'll be okay. And let's just do this edge down here. Straight line down with your angle brush. Hope you're getting the hang of using the angle brush now for straight lines. It's really good. I mean, this is an old one now, it's done a lot of painting for me, but still I can still get a nice straight edge on it. Didn't mean to do that, but there we are. Now there's a top part of this. This is my bleached out one, the one that I lightened up so as we could see the wood. But I'm quite pleased with that, because I'm going to aim to do these colours, and then when it dries back, it'll dry back to sort of where we want it really. Now there's another little bit of that in there, so I'm just going to put that in now when I've got that colour on my brush. So the post comes down there like that. Now then, there's a lighter part up here, so I'm just going to mix a little bit more white into it. There we are, that's fine, and just pop that in. It doesn't matter that the paint's still wet, you know, if it mixes, that's great. So it sort of goes in here where the shadow stops, it's at its lightest, and that often happens. You'll often see your darkest darks next to your lightest lights. and it's good, it draws the eye. And seeing as this is actually the middle of our painting, that's good. We want something to draw the eye. I can't do any more with that at the minute because the paint underneath is so wet. I can only get one coat on. It won't accept any more than that. And this bit here, it's got a bit of light on it as well. There we are. I'm just going to very quickly dry this, so close your ears. Sorry about that. My other and better half is cooking dinner at the moment, which is excellent. So there we are, being dry now. It allows us to put that second coat of light on. Just a little bit over here as well. It's just beaten up, this old barn, you know. It's had a life. And it's kind of done and dusted with it now. Right, so what else do we have here that I can see that I can do? Well, these bits all here are they're brown. I'd say they're umber with some tightened buffing. They're not this reddy purpley colour that we've encountered before. So let's do that. Let's mix some of that up. Wash my brush out. Some raw umber. Oh, burnt umber I think might be better. Yeah, burnt umber. I'm going to use burnt umber for this. Sorry to confuse you. You don't need very much, it's only a titchy little bit. So some burnt umber, some titanium buff, and I'll just loosely mix those together because it's quite a sort of marley mixed up kind of effect there. So I don't really want them terribly well mixed up. I'll just mix them on my brush and they'll hopefully give us a bit of different values as we paint. So just pick up a bit of the burnt umber, a bit of the titanium buff, and allow them to mottle on your brush like that. And then we'll come. Now that's the shadow, I think. That must be the shadow. So it must be, what's that? That's kind of hard trying to make out what this is really. That's a door, that's the shadow, so this is all the bit that we want to paint. I've got quite enough of that, that's better. So it's nice when it mottles on the canvas. Like that. Now, is there any more of that anywhere? That's the great outdoors. I think you can see straight through it, and that little bit there is open on the other side. Is what I think. Now this door down here, it's got a bit of this sort of coloration on it. I don't think this door's ever really going to shut again, to be realistic. But I think the other side, Mr. Handyman found some other pictures of this actually online, posted by the same chap, and it had the other side of the barn on, and to be honest, there's just nothing of it really. We've got the good side looking at us, so having the door shut would be a bit A bit silly really, because there's nothing stopping anybody getting in the other side and walking around to do what they want. Right, so that's that. Now then, the other half of the door is this very light, very light colour. So I'm going to mix a bit of that Titan buff we've got with a bit of white, and it's actually got some burnt umber in there as well, but it's only a tiny percentage, it'll be fine. We'll just come down here and put that light colour in. There we are. And it's got, let's wipe my brush off, because it's got some very light, almost white. I'm going to put them in as white brackets across the door here. And one right at the bottom as well. Now then, we just need some texture into this. I'm sure I'll use this and a bit of white for that. This is now a mixture of a titanium buff, a tiny bit of burnt umber and white. So it's a weird old mixture, but that's kind of just what happened. So this has got some lines coming down it, and they're not all sort of equal or straight. There we are. Let's wipe my brush off. I'm just going to pick up the tiniest bit of burnt umber there on its own if I can get it. That's it. Wipe that off on your cloth, and then we're just going to dry brush a little bit of that burnt umber into there. Wiped off too much of it. So there's hardly any paint on there at all, but there's enough just to catch on the canvas. And it probably needs, let's wipe that off completely now, probably needs a bit of this as well, on its own, not mixed with anything really. And just put some bits of detail in it. You can't really see it, it's quite a way away. So that's fine, that's okay. This probably needs a bit of detail in it too, just with a pure Titan buff. I'm just going to go over the halfway mark there, because it was looking just a bit too tidy. And there are some marks in that door, the wooden door here. Don't want it looking pristine by any, it's just not. I'll just put those white, whatever they are, hinges thing, whatever the braces on the door, that's what I'm looking for, braces. So put them back in. Now you can see how much clearer they look now on the second coat. Okay, so just looking at this door with the white from the brace, whatever they're called, you know what they're called, I've no idea. There are bits of white in this here too. We want it to look quite distressed, so I'm just going to add little bits of colour to it. So wipe that white off, go back into the burnt umber, pick a little bit of that up, and just add some of that. Just give it some weathering, that's it. It's seen many summers, that's fine, I'm pleased with that now, that's nice. Then we'll go back into here with the burnt umber, same sort of thing, randomly, don't copy what I'm doing because there's no need to, just randomly put some sort of signs of weathering on it really. Now that has also got little bits of orange in, as has this, and so and down here. So I think now might be a good time to do it. Hopefully our orange is still going to be in the land of the living. Let's have a look. Oh yes, that's lovely. So I don't need much. You don't need much. There's just a little bit sort of down here, but it just draws the eye. It just, you know, it's detail that the eye's looking for. So I quite like that. That's quite nice. Down here, that I'll put this in with orange, but it needs, you know, obviously it's not going to stay that colour. Need to go back over it with. See how weak this colour is on this canvas. I mean, it's very, very transparent. But that's fine. We can live with that. We'll go back over it with some earthier tones. Just going to go back into that because it's wanting to disappear on me. That looks okay. So that's that, that's that. Now outside here, it kind of is this colour because it's looking at the grass, which is sort of autumn colour. Now, seeing as we've got the orange, this is dry now, so let's just re-establish those lines that we put on first. So we really have got some orange on the front of this barn. This is not going to disappear this time on me. Well, it better not anyway. These bits up here, I think that looks much better. I'm just going to drag a little bit down here, and there's a little bit up here, just a little bit, it's a suggestion of it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Happy with that. It looks much more cheerful now. I like it a lot better. So what is this section here behind the door? Why have I? That's a shadow. Ah, that's the same colour as this. Oh, this is such an easy painting to get lost in. You really have to concentrate about where you are in it. So fortunately I've still got some of that colour mixed up, although it's trying to dry very quickly on me. So this is the same colour as we started with the corrugated sheet here. I'm going to show you a way of dealing with the lines on the corrugated sheet and putting some detail into the roof. A magical way of doing it, actually. Right, so that's a shadow, that's a shadow, that's a shadow. Excellent, let's put those in then. Now they're very close to black, these, if not black, so I'm going to put them in with black and a little bit of our burnt umber. I'm alright putting that over that because that will have long since dried. It's quite warm in here today. So a fair bit of that umber, mix it in with the black. Just don't, if you can possibly avoid it, you don't really want a lot of black. I mean, here and here it's black, that's the colour it is. Oh, I should have put some orange in there. I'll come back to that. So this is our shadow. It's quite a strong shadow. And it's right under the roof. Take your time and get it where it needs to go. You might find it easier with a smaller brush, a liner or something. But by now I think you should be getting the hang of using a an angle brush and being able to control it on its edge, you know, on its side. I'm just going up there into that crack that we had already begun to develop with black when we were doing the roof. So the roof isn't straight along the bottom, so don't make it straight, it would spoil the look of it really. Oh, blimey, this is so, it wants to dry up. That makes a huge difference to our painting, I think. So I have to mix a little bit more, I think. That's the thing about mixing your paint. If you need to mix more paint, mix it. Don't try and make the tiny little bit of paint that you've got go all the way. It'll just end up too thin on the canvas and you'll be dissatisfied with it, and then you'll have to go back over it anyway. So you're going to have to mix it sometime. So if you need it, mix it, use it. So this is the line that goes into the boxcar. So don't worry if you actually go over the line, it'll get painted out anyway when we come to put the wooden side on. That's lovely. So this section in here is also this very dark shadow. There's a shadow here behind the door that the door was casting, I think. Use the pointy bit of your brush to get up into that little angle there. Okay, so far so good. So just need some sort of rusty type colour in this here, and we've got pretty much most of the blocking in done, and some details. We're doing well. We're doing well. So it's sort of a bit of orange, perhaps a bit of that sort of colour. Maybe a bit red. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, that's a good colour for the job. Okay, so the bit that we need to attend to now is this bit here, which is sort of woody type colours. So we're back again to the burnt umber, the titanium buff. It has got little bits of orange in it, so I'll just let some of it peek through like that. But it is a different colour from the area around it, so I need to make sure it looks a bit different. So there we are. Just going to pinch my brush out and just get a little bit of white just on the tip of my brush. Just put some lines down it just to make it stand out a little bit. Yeah, that's good, that's fine. Okay. Right, the other thing that I really want to do is, and I need a little brush for this job, smaller than my angle shader. That one will do, and I just need some grey just to resolve my issue with these lats up here, because they go under the corrugated metal, not on top as mine. Well, mine don't really go anywhere, they're not connected to anything, so they're not very good at their job. So some water on your little brush. Well, you might not have to do this, of course. You might have done yours perfectly the first time, which is great. Well done you. I don't know what I was thinking of. So these go under, just straight line along. You can't see the ends of them at all. Yeah, that looks better. Really not sure what I was thinking about at all. I mean, I'm just in the middle of air. Nothing was supporting them. Yeah, that's a lot better. Right, so now I have something really interesting to show you. I don't know if you've heard me mention before, but a while ago I bought this set of Posca pens. They're called Posca, P-O-S-C-A, and they are actually acrylic paint, proper acrylic paint in a pen. So they're really good for doing straight lines, little details, and no, you're not cheating. It's a tool. It's helping us achieve what we want to achieve. They're really good for signing your name on paintings. They're good for, last week I did a boat and I wanted to write the name on the boat. I used a Posca pen. I've just recently painted a front door and a window, and I wanted to put a number on the door, so I used a Posca pen. They're really good for that sort of thing. But what I think they'd be very good for us is just to reinstate or state these lines down here, down this corrugated part, these lines along here, along this corrugated part, and maybe I'm just going to have a look at the bare metal, the grey part up here, because I think that mine could just do with a little bit more detail. So where shall we begin? Well, let's begin with the front of the barn, and it's very dark. I mean, it's black or very dark brown. So we've got a black. What other colours do you get? Oh, you get metallic. Look, silver and gold. Oh, that looks metallic as well. Metallic red. How nice. So there's a yellow, there's a purple, pink, metallic pink, that is. Metallic green. I didn't realise all this. I haven't really looked at them much before. There's pink. There's this orange. They do come in various size tips. These are the smallest ones that you can get. They're 0.7 of a mil. I think that's right. 0.7. Yeah, 0.7 of a mil. But you can get thicker ones that are really better for signing your name, etc. There's a green, there is a red, blue, slight, oh, metallic blue, a turquoisey colour, and a white. I would say if you don't want to buy the set, and there's not really any real reason why that I can think of that you'd want the set, then go for the black and white. They're probably the handiest, the ones that you'd use more of. So given that I've just gone through the colours, and there is an orange, but it looks jolly bright, I think black is probably our way forward. Now what you need to do with these is shake them. We've got a ball inside to mix up the paint. So give them a good shake, and you hear the ball moving freely in that paint. And then just depress it, and you see the paints come through. Now you don't need press on with these. If you do, too much paint comes out, and they dry very quickly. You'll have time to, you know, if you do get a splurge, just get some water on it quickly, get a towel and wipe it up. But it's best, of course, if that doesn't happen in the first place. So I'm just going to put some lines down the front of here, using a ruler. And I'm going right up against that ruler. And I'm just going to move across. And I'm not going to put them on all of it. I think that's just a bit too much to handle. So I'm just going to suggest some other places. But as I say, not all the way down. Just do what you feel is right for your painting. I mean, you can't, if you haven't got Posca pens, which I didn't have until very recently, you do exactly that with a liner brush. Hold your ruler on and paint sort of half on your ruler and half onto the canvas. But every time you do it, make sure that you wipe the edge of your ruler off, otherwise when you put it down you'll be transferring paint and you'll really wish that you hadn't. So these lines here on the side, they're a similar sort of thing. They're in half, so I'm going to just do the lines sort of halfway across. And they are very close together actually. But you needn't put them all on if you don't want to. They start to look a bit regimented if you do. So that's fine for that. And then there's a sort of break. It's a different sheet, I think. I'm just going to start to angle this down a little bit. I'm going to leave a bit of a gap and just start to angle it down. And by the time we get to the bottom, we want this to be parallel to the bottom of the barn, which we managed to do. So that's that. And the same thing down this part here, but there is a kind of gap in the middle, so leave the gap. And it's right, coming right out from under that shadow. I'm not lining these up with each other, but when I get to the break here, I will make a break as well. They really are great things, these Posca pens. And as I say, they are proper acrylic paint. Yeah, I think that looks fine. Our door's done, that's done. Need to give that little bit there, a bit of detail. So what do I need to do to my roof? Well, for one thing, I think I'm just going to run along under these things that I've just put in with my Posca pen and just make that quite clear. Where is my line? Yeah, okay, so it's a very fine line. You'd think it wouldn't make much difference, but it actually does. So let's have a look at the metal work on the roof. Does it actually need anything? Well, it's really not too bad. I quite like it actually. It perhaps needs just a bit of white down where the grey is. So I'll just have a look at that. I don't want to make it, in fact I'm not going to do it with a Posca pen because it's very white. The white is really white. I'm just going to do it with that small brush that we were just using. Just get some water on it, a little bit of that titanium buff, which is as white as we want to go, I think. It's just sort of between the sheets, really. Between the sheets. So lighten that line up a bit. It's just, I don't really like it being grey particularly. I mean, I appreciate it's the colour of the metal. I'm having a hard time getting this to lay down. Yeah, I think actually that does look better. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Just want some more on there, please. I think that's better, a bit less of that grey showing. I did consider putting a wash over the whole roof of either mixing white or titanium buff mixed with glazing medium, but I thought it would take away all that good work that we did on here, and I like it. This is the problem when you water down heavy bodied paints, they lose their pigment. Just put a little bit on the side of there. Pick it up a little bit more. It's just a little bit too much altogether over here. Just knock that back a little bit. Right, so how's it looking now? Not too bad, I don't think. My concern is these bottom parts here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the grey which I originally used, just a tiny bit, mix it in through that titanium buff, and some water on my brush. Pick it up. So it's still grey, but it's softened out a bit. Well, I'd like to bet you can't see that because I can't. And I'm right over it, so that's not doing anything to help our cause, so I'll leave that alone. Right then, next on the agenda, that just needs a little shadow underneath it, just to bring it to life. We've got this section here, haven't we, that we said needed something doing to it, because I'm sure we're looking just straight through there at whatever it is on the other side. It looks like a tree or a bush or something to me, but it's quite orangey. So I think I'll just make up a little bit more orange and just use that. Last time I wanted orange, I mixed a bit of this in through it and it really knocks it back, which is probably very good for what we want. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. There's no details in that. The door does have a hole in it where I presume the lock has once been, or a handle or something. Right there, I'll just put that in. And how are we doing? I think we're doing all right, really. I think this part probably needs just a little bit more sort of, I'm going to get my mixing white out and put some mixing white over it because it looks a bit stark. Right, okay, I just had a small break there and I've put out some mixing white or zinc white. It's known as either, and they both do the same thing. They are very different, although look very similar to titanium white. Titanium white is opaque, mixing white is transparent. And I've also put out some glazing medium. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a glaze of the glazing medium with the mixing white, and I'm going to go over this here. I like it. I like this mark that we've got. I just want to knock it back a little bit and knock the black lines back a little bit. So same brush, the angle shader, just take a little bit of this, a little bit of the glazing liquid medium, should I say. My glazing medium is De La Roni. I've had it a long time, as you can see. De La Roni glaze medium matte. You can get glaze medium gloss. I think you can get glaze medium satin as well. It doesn't really matter. You know, eventually this will be varnished, so it doesn't really matter if it's matte or whatever. That's just what I happen to have. When this is finished, I won't go necessarily looking for another of these. I'll look for whichever one is the best value on that day that I'm looking. So there we are. We have our medium and our zinc white mixing white mixed up. And I'm just going to go over this and knock it back. Now you're much better off to start with a mixture that's got more medium in it than you think you need, because you can always go back over it with a mixture that's got less medium in, but you can't take it back once you put it on. So go steady is my advice. Mix up a mixture that's got a lot of the glaze medium in. Now this is it's making the Posca pen run, which I quite like. I'm really pleased with that because I thought it looked a bit static. I put too many lines in, possibly. Looked just a little bit too static. This is making them run, and I like that a lot. So this is serving two purposes for us. Right, I'm just going to dry that quickly and then I'm going to give it another coat of the same strength. Because I think it can stand it, and I think it's helpful. It's helping us. I'm not expecting the Posca to run. Just going to put a little bit more glazing medium in that. Not expecting the Posca to run this time. Is that going to dry back? I think I'm just going to take some of that off actually. It probably will dry back, but I'm afraid it won't. So just put some water. If you make a mistake, put some water on while it's still wet, and you'll be able to take off whatever it is you put on that you didn't like. We all make mistakes. You just need to know how to fix them. This is very possibly taking off the first layer as well. So we'll have to go back over with the mixing white again. Right, that's pretty much all I'm going to get off there, and that's alright, that's fine. So I'll just leave that alone till it dries, because I just want to attend to this bit here, which doesn't look right in any way, shape or form. So I'm just going to take, if we've got any, have we got any burnt umbers still alive in there or here? Oh, my paint's dried up. And I'm just going to add some detail. Well, it's not detail, it's just randomness really. It was just irritating me. It just looked too plain. I'm not sure what it is we're looking at. It wasn't plain orange, that's for sure. So that's fine. Let's just knock that back, and it's fine. Sorry, I'm just going to have to dry this quickly again. Fine, that's dry. I'm just looking at that shadow of the door. I think that's actually grass coming up rather than lines on our barn. So I'll leave that, and just bear in mind when we come to do that, there's some long grasses around here that we need to sort of detail in. Right, so I washed my brush out. Wow, not very well. So let's just take some more of this. That first lot's just dried up, it's just dry on the palette. And some glazing medium, mix it up. Make sure you've got it mixed quite well, otherwise you're going to get a chunk of white that you don't really want. It is mixing white, so it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. That's fine, that's good. And as we know, everything acrylic dries back, so by that I mean dries darker. Mixing white tends to dry much more transparent than when you put it on, and I know that, yet still I panicked. So I don't want it to dry, because then you can't get it off. So yeah, that's good, I like that. I like that. I might do some dry brushing with the original colour over the top, just a little bit. Actually, I haven't done that, and just need to put some on here as well. It just needs it. It's the same colour as the colour, this colour. Just needs glazing back. There we are. I glazed that one while I was drying, you might have noticed. Okay, so I'm just going to go back into this colour that we had. Well, I would if it was still alive, but it's not. Just mix up a little bit of that colour. Put some glazing medium through it. That's a lot of glazing medium through there, a lot. if you haven't got glazing medium and you're tempted to use water, it's not such a good idea really, because you'll get something that's called underbinding, and your paint doesn't bind, just doesn't bind, and it will crack off, flake off eventually. So it's not really what you want. So I'm just going to put some dry brush onto here. Just really all I'm doing is just kissing the canvas with the brush. I'm just reintroducing that colour that we had. There we are. Yeah, I like that. I like it. So add a little bit more of the mixing white through there. Just bring it down here a little bit. Another little bit that's brighter there. There we are. Just keep an eye on your reference. Yeah, there we go. I like that. I think that's all right. Having said that, I think I need it dark a bit. I'm going to take that and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of mixing white, some glazing medium, and there's a darker bit in here. I can still see the lines from a Posca pen, so I'm alright with that. Still got some detail on it. It's a little bit darker in here and a little bit darker down in the bottom. So I haven't annihilated my Posca pen. If I had, then it's you've seen me do it. It's very easy to put them back in again. But you can see they're still there. So there we are. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's good. I'm just going to do a similar thing to this piece over here. That's the same colour. I'm just going to bring it in that way, like that. And there's a little bit there as well. So yeah, I think we've got the detail now on the side of our barn, and I'm quite happy with that. Really, it's quite a dark bit. Oh, that black's got skin on it. I don't think it's quite that dark actually. I don't think it's that dark either. Too much black on the brush. That might do it. That might do the trick. It's sort of halfway across here. It's pretty much a line goes across and on the other side. Yeah, that's what was needed. Good, pleased with that. Right, I'm quite happy with that. I'll wait to see how it dries, see if we need to do anything more to it. I wouldn't be surprised if we did decide to do something more, but for the time being, I think that looks good actually. And what I want to do now is block in the grass. So I need a bit of space on my palette and bring out the greens. Pretty much is what's needed. The grass goes on in lots and lots and lots of layers. This will be the first layer that we're putting on. So let's get the greens out. Right, this is pretty much every green I own. You can also mix some really pretty greens, which we'll do with all the greens that we've got, and some yellow and some white and browns and whatever. So you really need to pay some reference to your picture. But like I say, this is the first coat, so we need a bit of that out as well. That's our Titan Buff, which I'm really running out of. And I need some burnt sienna, which is all dried up. And first thing I need is quite a bright green, so I'll put some, oh, don't need to put that much out. Put that out, and that, and then we need some yellow, and I think it'd be good to go for a little while. This is pretty much getting green on the canvas. That's really, I'm going to put some raw umber out as well, because there are some quite dark passages in our grass. Yeah, as I say, this is pretty much just about getting the canvas covered in, and really you just need a flat brush like this. This is a 1/2 inch flat. Could use a bigger one if you wanted to. You'd get it covered much more quickly. I've just washed this brush, so it's quite damp, so we're okay. So I'm just going to mix a bit of that with a bit of that, give us a sort of a bright colour, and that just comes around the front of here. Now all the strokes that you make on this grass need to go up and down. They're all vertical. Don't get excited and block them in any other way. They're up and down. It doesn't really matter if you've got the wrong colour, wrong shade anywhere. It's got at least another 2 coats to come. I'll put some yellow out. So with your dirty brush, just put some yellow out. If you've gessoed your canvas or sandpapered your canvas, you'll be quids in at this stage. I've done neither to this, and it's kind of resistant to my paint. So I just need a little bit of dark umber, and there's just a little bit comes in here and along here, and just some little random bits really. There's also some sort of straw coloured I'll do that colour will be fine. Got a lot of this sort of dead looking grass around the place. I'm going to pay note to what the painting's saying, but not I'm not going blade for blade here or anything like that. There will be drifts of colour, as there are drifts of colour in the reference picture, but it's not going to be a dutiful copy. There will be where they are, pretty much. Just keep your brush dirty. There's no reason to go cleaning it out. You'll get some surprises like that every now and then when a bit of green pops up. But here I've transferred that in. It's a dark, very dark area there, so I'll put that in because I know it's there. Bless you, dog sneezing. It goes up like that. Maybe a bit more down here. And then we've got quite a big shadow down here. So pop that in as well. As I say, don't forget all your brush strokes, all of them, every single one needs to be vertical. A very dark bit of shadow down here. I haven't transferred this line. I don't really think it's it needs it that importantly to be exactly right. If you feel more comfortable, by all means transfer it in. Comes from a bit there and it comes up. That's about that. If you do this and you get a bit worried and you think, oh, I don't think it's quite right, don't worry. There are, many more layers to go on this. Well, not many, but many. Not many, just many. But I would like today to get this blocked in so we can actually start doing the grass the next time. We can see what it's going to look like. We get an idea of what it's going to look like when it's finished. Overlap, overlap your colours. Because one thing grass isn't is all the same colour everywhere. It's just absolutely not. I'm going to put out a slightly darker green as well, because there are bits that are a wee bit darker. Ooh, I don't need anything like that amount of paint. I don't think I'll buy these again because they're too, you put out too much paint, whereas with a tube you put less paint out. So it's a nice colour there, nice colour difference for us. So I think we've done quite well today. We've covered quite a lot. I don't know what the barn, as I say, I don't know what, I'll sit and look at it tonight and ponder what it might need and what it might not need. That's usually when I decide to do things, when I sit and look at it. Think, ooh, don't like that. Oh, I like that. Okay, so let's go back to this sort of straw colour that we had. So a lot of this looks a bit dead. Certainly bright, sort of whitey yellowy colour. I think this is blocking in quite well. I need some more of my titanium buff. This is the colour I'm going to run out of first. It's a really, really useful colour. It's going to pick it up on its own with whatever I happen to have in my brush. That does have a bit of colour in it there. A bit of yellow perhaps. Always vertical. Always vertical. So that's it, pretty much blocked in really. When we come back we will put some detail in that, but that's made a huge difference to it, hasn't it, really? Just going to put a little bit of that over there because that's quite dark and I want it quite light. Anywhere else where there's a really light patch, just up here. And just up above it is really light up here. I say don't really worry. I mean, there's a patch through here that's sort of dying off colour as well. Just mixed a bit of raw umber on my brush there. Just comes down. So yeah, I think that's not bad really. Not bad for blocking in. That's what I'd say. I quite like it. Quite happy with it. I like this, but I will muse on those overnight, and then we'll see what happens. So there. I hope that you've enjoyed that. I hope that now you're beginning to feel a little bit more fulfilled. They're actually getting somewhere. It's that's really pushed that barn back, hasn't it? We need to be careful when we do the grass that it is just grass. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you on our next episode of the barn. See how we do the grass. I don't know that we'll get the grass finished in the next one, but we'll make a darn good try at it. So happy painting and see you soon. Thank you, bye.